Welcome to more Gran Turismo Sports Specialtatin. Today we're featuring, well, sort of kind of what ended up being the finale to a series of races. The first of which being the last video on my main channel, in which was a rant disguised as a Specialtatin, essentially promoting my second channel, which was the second video in this series, in which was the full, uncensored rant about the heinous penalties I got before the start of this Specialtatin, which is of this current week's races, currently in progress, meaning this week's races are in progress in general, and this race is too. If you want to see what happened before this one, well, go to my second channel, which is linked in the description, and that's its most recent video. But again, to begin that video was sort of the last video on this channel. So yes, all three in the series gets wrapped up here in this riveting finale in which I try to recover from the BS penalty system. Let's see if it's possible, folks. As of now, I have a 5-second penalty. I am 6th out of 7 in the field. Which means after I delete the 5-second penalty, I'm going to be at least 3 seconds down on everyone else in the field on lap almost 2 of a 4-lap race. If I can come back from this, this will be the greatest comeback in Gran Turismo history. Let's see if I can, folks. There's one car passed. Go back, folks. There's one car. Passed. Yeah, folks. This is Gran Turismo Sport for you. As y'all saw in the last video, I got a penalty for being nice. But that car just blatantly wrecks into me. And guess what? Wait a minute, folks. This is a thing that we've never witnessed in the history of time. The car that actually blatantly wrecked someone gets a penalty. This is actual, really true. Riveting Specialtatin. This is new stuff that has never happened in the history of the channel. A car got the deserved penalty. I knew I specialtated this race for a reason, folks. It's looking like I'll easily come back at this point because the cars are getting penalties that they deserve now. This is thrilling stuff, folks. This really is. To reward that driver for getting the penalty he deserves, because I figured out that if a lead driver blatantly swerves into the behind driver, it's the behind driver that gets negatively affected. Well, now I'm the lead driver, so this happens. I'm on the brakes in the middle of a straightaway. Let's see what happens. I get that car's momentum to the point of it's even more than what 4th place had, and I get no time penalty whatsoever. Wow, that definitely helps my charge towards the front, doesn't it? Slowing down in the middle of a straight, getting the other car's momentum blatantly, and then having more momentum than the 4th place car that did nothing wrong whatsoever. Gran Turismo Sport is looking better than it ever has before. Now on to your feature presentation. Actual coming back in this race with such riveting racing that doesn't involve penalties whatsoever, because I'm going to delete this penalty and then continue on cleanly, just like how PD imagined. Look at this, folks. Look at this. Unbelievably clean and close racing. See, I'm not even lying. I'm not even over-exaggerating in the slightest. I just let that car around. Like, look at me being nice and studs. Like what PD imagined. See, there was no contact there. That car made a nice pass on the outside without hitting anything. Granted, again, this is last first challenge, so the whole point of I'm going to get more momentum than cars in front so I can get back around, and I do, but I do cleanly. So I'm not even lying, folks. I'm not even over-exaggerating. This race is actually good now. And like how the races should have always gone and all that, like 5 minutes into the video. Yeah, I admit I messed up a bit there, but that was sort of kind of on purpose as well, because I didn't want to get dive bombed. So, as such riveting and wonderful racing as this is, let's fast forward a bit to even get more, like, incredible racing. Yeah, folks, I'm fast forwarding now. I'm like half a lap later, and yes, yeah, look at how close this racing is, folks. I'm within 2 seconds of the driver in front, and the driver behind is only 2 seconds back. And of course, that's 95% full throttle. This is literally the best racing that could ever happen in the history of time. Like, seriously, though, it's actually getting good. Like, look at this. I gained that 2 seconds in, like, 15 seconds, and I'm pretty much right on force back bumper now. Can I make a pass here cleanly? Yeah, folks. I mean, look at that. That was clean. That driver just barely nudged the outside wall, but I didn't hit him. So, yeah, that was actually a clean pass. Look, positive SR and such. I'm not even over-exaggerating. I'm legitimately making this comeback cleanly and as it should be with no penalties either way. Yeah. Yeah, folks, this is for real. Yeah. Sorry, I'm fast forwarding through like such close and compelling racing, but it's just to get to greater good. Like this is already a great good, but we're getting to greater goods. Which, yes, great is in general better than good, so saying great good is kind of wrong, but it's a phrase. It's a phrase! Could that be a catchphrase? I don't know, folks. As many as I have, that one's such... What's better? The racing on screen right now, or it's a phrase! Y'all decide in the comments below. Which YouTube is thinking about taking away, by the way. So for now, enjoy while you have comments, while you do. Because YouTube, the great and fair overlords that they are, will make whatever decision is best for the community, and that will ultimately be taking away the community's comment ability. Such a great decision by a completely unbiased and always wonderful YouTube, which again I've also compared to Polyphony Digital and GT Sport in the past as well. Just saying that right now, folks. Yep. Now, that was a pass and a half right yonder, wasn't it? One car was completely slowed down because it automatically had to, and then the other tried to pinch me into the wall, so I had to shove it out of the way, and neither of the cars got a penalty. Just like it should be. I mean, seriously, if one car's racing dirty to begin with, you should be allowed to race a bit dirty back just to make it equal, and there's no penalty either way. That's good. Now, look at this riveting finish to the actual line here, folks. Like, look at how close this race is. I'm within 5 seconds. Yeah, folks. That's like the best last to first rounds ever, isn't it? Passing every car, like, quite easily, and when it ain't quite as easy, I can just shove them out of the way and be fine with it. Except for, the car that actually makes it a last to first challenge, I'm, like, pretty much 4 seconds back of, and... Okay, whatever, I'll quit with the BS now. This is no over-exaggeration whatsoever. Like, completely, really, and truly, this time I'm being serious. In 5 races that I did of this race, which, again, I did these right as they started, like, right as the week started. So, aka, everyone doesn't have as much experience, and therefore would be actual people's own mistakes, and not just mistakes of the penalty system. By far, I saw more messing up from the penalty system than people's own mistakes on a new race. And I mean, well, so a bit more coming up, right? Wait for it, folks. I got it at some point. Right. Down a cricket. I'll get it at some. There we go. That shows the sportsmanship. With this level of sportsmanship rating, I mean, yeah, there was like 2 or 3 dirty drivers in that race. And ultimately, there was actually one of the 2 or 3 that got the deserved penalty. But I mean, just look at the penalties handed out and then look at the driver and sportsmanship rating on a completely new race here. It's obvious this is beyond messed up. Drivers have, all in all, I would say a fairly low sportsmanship rating, all things considered. Nothing against these drivers in general, but I'll say this. There's a darn good reason it's low, and it's not because the driver's on mistakes a lot of the time. They have a good reason to say why it's low, but it's not good that it is low. This is PD just not caring anymore. The only way you're going to up your driver rating, or up your sportsmanship rating anymore, is there's no contact whatsoever, which means you have to avoid other people's contact as well, whether it's incidental or not. Which, yes, the best of the best can do that because they just barely ever mess up. But 99% of the other people, they can't. And while I've raced with some of those 1% before, I'm still basically in that 99%. But again, I've seen both. I had that one race where I actually beat ILF Racing. I've had many a race where I've raced with some of the best in the FIA Cups on the same track. Granted, pretty much all those races I'm not all that close to them, but yes, I am on the same track in the same race. So, as I said in other videos, at this point, if you're still playing the game, you're a pretty hardcore Gran Turismo fan, no matter your skill level. So therefore, you're probably watching the best of the best do these things. And if you yourself are doing these things and not getting penalized when you deserve to, or vice versa, you know that the best of the best can definitely get away with it too, because they know that much more and can do that much more. If you can get away with BSing the penalty system, or the penalty system is still BSing you, it's darn tootin' that's going to happen with the best drivers. There's no doubt about that. But I'm still going to continue. Because I still have a bit of hope in Gran Turismo 7 being good. With all this stuff considered, I'm still far from forgiving PD and never will for GT Sport. But let's be fair, folks. Gran Turismo 7, if it's going to happen and be a true Gran Turismo 7, will sell better than GT Sport. So, more likely than not, at this point, PD is probably putting more effort into GT7. Should they still be putting more effort into GT Sport? Yes, especially because this is a sponsored game. But they ain't, because hopefully they're putting it in GT7. If GT7 is good, and ultimately this feels like an old Gran Turismo game, I'll just essentially forget about GT Sport. But until GT7 is out, I mean, I can't forget about the game that's still the actual game, because there's nothing to move on to yet. Again, I'm not saying forget and forgive, I'm just saying forget. But for now, I can't exactly forget it. And because of that, maybe, just maybe, even though I'm not forgetting the game in general, maybe for now we can just sort of put behind us. It's hard to forget, but at least maybe ignore it for now. This whole downright debauchery and just annoyingness, and move on to something that's actually pretty decent. So, because of that, folks, we're going to do a race and a half right yonder. That's not just a phrase. That's actually going to happen. Yes, folks, I'm actually going to Specialtatin a full race this time, and a good race this time. I can't remember exactly which one it is, but it's one of these two. So I'll figure it out as we go. I think it's this one. Maybe. Make sure. Yes, folks, it's this one. So I'm going to actually do a bonus Specialtatin for this time around. That, trust me, this one's actually a good old, just good, nice first challenge. Sort of like the video I did on the main channel before all this happened. And let's end it, even with, in general, this is still in the series of the bad stuff. Let's at least attempt to end it on a good note, even though in general all this is quite bad. I think me and y'all sort of kind of both deserve it at this point. If you're still tuned in at this point, y'all deserve something truly good. Even if you enjoy the rant style stuff, I think in general, no matter who you are, just good old fun racing is the best way to go. It's definitely the best way to go for me. And well, as for me, I'm not quite in last, but still I'm going to have to pass a fair few cars. This field actually has a decent number of cars. Holy snikes, folks, it actually has the correct number of cars. I'm not even over-exaggerating. I think this is the first time that's actually happened with this set of races. So let's see what I can do with it. Starting out in 11th and actually starting out fairly clean. People actually got off the line well. And I'm not really getting held up yet. Looking good so far, folks. Can't really complain. That car's going a little bit wide, but honestly, that ain't a bad thing because it's looking like I have room. Yes, folks, look at that. I actually have room. I'm still on the outside, but let's see if I can do... Yeah, not quite. Whatever, I'm not really all that mad about that because, I mean, there's no one near me, so I'm clear. Yeah, there was a bit of contact with Ninth there that sort of swerved into me, but not much. And I will forgive that driver to an extent because they didn't know I'm dead last first round, so they just figured I had roughly the same skill level. So whatever, I'll forgive it. That driver's clean, let me around there. So let's continue on. So far this has actually been a clean race for the most part and much more than I expected. That has involved a lot of close racing with actually quite a bit of passing on the outside. Why 8th place got a penalty there, I don't know, but whatever, I ain't 8th place, so... no big deal. Granted, it's already half a lap into the race and I'm still 9th. So that's not the best pace in the world, but I'm pretty much already guaranteed 8th once it goes to delete the penalty. There we go. Another car deleting the penalty. There we go again. And here we go again, folks, with not the closest racing in the world. But honestly, when another race was 2 seconds of a gap, this is only about 1 second of a gap and closing quite quickly with 3 cars involved in the battle instead of 2. Yeah, there was a bit of contact there, but with this type of racing, I'm guaranteeing some contact, so I'm not even going to say anything about minor contact because I don't mind minor contact. Rubbing is racing, and that's been a thing for a very long time, especially in slow, easy cars like this to drive. That honestly just straight up makes it more fun. No over-exaggerating in the slightest. It's just straight up more of a fun race. And that's actually quite a good thing, because at this point I'm sort of just racing more for speed to try to catch up. It's not necessarily racing anyone else but myself at this point, just to try to be fast, because now I'm actually getting an okay pace. Lap 5, I'm almost, position 5, almost a lap and a half into the race. I'm about on pace. I wouldn't say I'm really over the pace or under the pace, but as of now, if I stay at this pace, it's going to stay a competitive race. And as of now, specifically, it's actually a competitive race. That is looking like I can make a pass cleanly, though. So it's staying a competitive and clean race. This is really exactly what I'm looking for. While I still will continue doing all the general rants and stuff when need be, because I know some people do enjoy that content. Overall, I don't think it's an over-exaggeration to say in general this is what the majority of people enjoy most, including myself. So, this is actually nice and refreshing. I hope it lasts. And, I mean, usually I do these races as is, but I'll go and say, folks, it'll last. But can I get to first from last? Well, I ain't going to answer that yet, so that way there's still a point in watching. Yeah, in general, folks, this race does stay good. But as of now, my chances of getting the first from last is not looking that bad or that good, really. Because, yeah, there was some contact there, but some bump drafting in this type of racing I really don't think is all that bad of a thing. I did that right on the straight, and ultimately, really, all that does is just give that car more momentum so I can get up there with the next car and race it. Maybe if those two cars are racing hard ultimately they have less momentum because they're racing side by side, and I have plenty of momentum to just go past on a straight. I can only hope, folks, and as of now, that's actually sort of kind of looking like that's exactly what's happening. Because the car directly in front of me is pretty much on the other car's tail, and it's about to be a full throttle straight. Well, but then that car hit the wall, so that's not exactly what's happening. But I will say that somehow I did that pretty much exactly right. It was darn close to contact, but there wasn't. And look, even positive SR, which proves there wasn't contact there. That was a little bit closer than I would have liked, but at least that made it entertaining. And this should be an entertaining slipstream battle, because there's really no way I was going to go there. So this starts the slipstream battle. I give second a push there. They don't actually deduct sportsman separating. Hallelujah, as they shouldn't. And that gets the top two battling. So maybe even though to begin with, it didn't end up happening where the two cars ahead were battling with the two cars I've already passed, maybe these two cars will start battling, and then I can get the momentum. And that's actually kind of sort of looking like this. What's going to happen? That happened a little bit earlier than I wanted it to, but that's one car passed. Can I pass the other on the final lap? Let's see, folks. Can I make a last lap pass for the win in the last first challenge, which is pretty much exactly what I've been wanting? Well, I might be able to, but it's one thing if I do it, it's another thing if I do it clean. Yeah, that was clean. Again, I didn't lose SR for it. There was some contact there, but I knew there was going to be. That other driver knew there was going to be. So we did the appropriate measures there and gave us each enough room to where we didn't wreck. Nor did we get penalized with an actual time penalty or sportsman separating penalty. That went pretty much as is. That's good. And it's actually still a 3-car battle because draft is overpowered here, I'll admit that. But I don't really mind that in the last first challenge. Yes, that's quite annoying when I'm the leader on my main account, but I'm done with my main account. So that makes the last first challenge all that much more fun, even though it's not at all realistic what I want to be doing on my main account. But this is an advantage of not dealing with my main account anymore. It's because whether I win or lose, at least it's a competitive and clean race. I don't mind losing a clean race. But I'm still going to try to win. In a clean way, mind you. But it's literally going to come down to the wire. That driver just barely nudged the wall, so I'm just going to maybe nudge my nose in there, but doing it with no contact is the way I wanted to, and we're good. I'll admit there was some slight contact on the exit of the turn, but at that point I was around anyway, so no big deal. If this was the Kentucky Derby, I'd probably get disqualified. And rightfully so for the Kentucky Derby, because those are live horses. But in cars, just minor contact like that when you already know the best one is ahead, no big deal. So yeah, there was some minor bumps and bruises throughout the way, but to be expected. Rubbing is racing, especially at this level of driver and sportsman separating. And that honestly makes for the most fun racing. I think I'm pretty much in the optimum driver and sportsman separating to do last to first challenges, because Rubbin's racing, there wasn't any malicious contact, and it came down to the wire. If racing stayed like this, I still wouldn't necessarily be happy with GT Sport mode, but I'd tolerate it. But as of now, I'll continue to, because at least some races become tolerable. And then the far and a few in between like this are actually fine. So to fight this series in general being far from a yeehaw, at least it ends with quite a good yeehaw.